Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are going to check out Satch Boogie by Satriani. I'm hoping I have a bit off more than I can chew here because this is a pretty tricky tune. I find it sticky, so I'm hoping I'm going to be able to explain myself well enough. I've attempted to play this song long time ago when I was in my teens, and I'd bought this book here, a transcription book, and I tried to play it using that, and it wasn't working. I always thought it was too hard, and I just gave up on it, basically. Last year, in the middle of the lockdown thing, it came on a playlist, randomly on Spotify, and I was like, oh man, why have I never learned that before? So I sat down and tried to transcribe it myself. I did a little bit of research, watching clips of Joe playing it, and I feel like I've got it pretty right. At least I'm going to show you. It's going to be very close to the way Joe plays it himself. There's a couple of little lesson kind of clips where he goes through roughly the fingering and stuff, so you might want to search those out yourself, but I'm going to try and explain it to you in a way that makes it kind of playable, because it's loads and loads of fun to play. It's really cool. It's unlikely I'm ever going to do lesson for the whole song, just because for me to try and get all of those lead sections down to the point where it was accurate enough that I felt comfortable teaching it, just take too mumuch work, frankly, and I'm not really sure I've got the motivation to do all of that. But it's a really fun one to just jam on. One last thing to mention before we get to a close-up is a lot of this is it's the subtle things that make it difficult to play it like the original recording. Like trying to get the actual notes right is less tricky than worrying about like where the parts are slightly muted and where there's little kind of pinch harmonics or semi-pinch harmonics. There's a lot of more subtle things. So I'd recommend trying to get the notes down first at a slow tempo. Make sure you're using some sort of slow down software so you can play along with the original recording at like 70% or whatever. Practice it maybe on your own until you can get it at that speed. When it gets a lot slower than that, it just feels like you kind of miss something about the pocket, the groove of it. And then, gradually work it up to tempo. That's enough talking. Let me see if I can explain this bad boy. So you got 2 bars of drums, and then it goes. So one little chunk at a time now. So I'm starting with a little pick on the open A string, but it's very subtle. And then we've got the 3rd fret flicking off to the open string. This is on the 5th string, the A string, the 1st finger, and then the 3rd finger, 5th fret on the A string. Then 3rd fret, 5th fret on the thicker string. Then open, 3rd fret, open. So now we've jumped out of position, 1st finger all the way up at the 5th fret, which might feel a little bit like it's not the right place to be doing this or the right fingering, but this is what Joe does, and it does make it feel different when you move up for that. So 1st finger, 5th fret on the 5th string, you play that, then 2nd finger's going to hammer down the 6th fret, flick off, and then flick off to the open A string, Then first finger is going to go to the note A, the octave, the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. So then we go open A, 3rd, 2nd finger this time playing the 3rd fret on the 5th string. Then 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 5th string, and then back to that note A. Now we've got this little D triad, 5th fret on the 5th string, 4th fret on the 4th string, and then the open G. Hitting the open D string. I'm not sure if that D string's in there or not, or whether that's something I've invented. I think it is. Then 2nd fret with the flick off to the open string. 3rd fret on the 5th string. And then 3rd fret, 5th fret at the end. That's the first kind of complete cycle. I definitely recommend that you spend a bit of time trying to work on that section before you move on to any further. Take it a little chunk at a time, keep building up as you go along and playing it through from the start each time. Add a little bit, play it through, add a little bit, play it through. If you come to a part that's really difficult, that where you're really stuck, then practice that little bit over and over and then join it back onto the riff again and keep building it through. That's the way I'd recommend that you work on a riff like this. Okay, from the top. Try and do it even slower, because I'm starting to notice a couple of other little subtle things. A lot of these flick offs and the, I'm not doing it with any palm mute or harmonics or anything like that at this point. I'm just trying to get the notes right, but I'm already noticing little subtle things that might help where I'm doing a flick off with the first finger. So let me try it, do it again extra slow. See here, I'm doing a little subtle flick off with the first finger. There. One thing that you might want to be aware of when you start practicing this riff is coming in and remembering that you've got 2 bars there at the beginning. So when you hear count from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it does it there twice at the beginning, so it's a good thing to practice along with the track. Like I said, I wouldn't start full speed. Work it up on your own first of all, and then gradually start playing along. Okay, first variation. Starts the same. Okay, so 3rd fret, 2nd fret on the thicker string. 3rd fret, 5th fret with a little fall off. And this is a D7. But then we're getting this sound using the open B string. So that's 5th fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, and then playing the open B string to get that dissonance there between those. Then this is one of the harder bits. Okay, 5th fret, 7th fret with a little flick offs, 5th fret to 4th fret. Then it's 5th fret with the flick off, 7th fret, open, 3rd fret, open, first fret on the first finger, second fret on the 4th string. Okay, let's get up to that point. Now, the next section I find probably the hardest bit of the whole thing. Well, the second hardest bit of the whole thing. It's this E7 chord sliding down chromatically. So we're starting, this is first finger in the 12th fret on the thicker string, second finger 12th fret on the 4th string, and little finger or third finger, depending on what you feel comfortable with, on the 13th fret of the 3rd string. This is an E7 chord. And Joe plays it, slides it down, plays it again, slides it down, plays it again, slides it down. And on that last one, he's doing some kind of raked pinch harmonics. A bit of whammy bar stuff there as well, but I don't have a whammy bar, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But try and get a little bit of a pinch harmonic thing going on there if you want. The tricky part of this is getting the movements enough and figuring out where to put your thumb. So I've been trying to keep my thumb in one spot for pick, slide, then I'm shifting my thumb back. So for all of this section, thumb is staying, I'm trying to poke it up so you can see where it is. It wouldn't normally sit like right above, but like that, and then shifting it. I mean, I think it's like whatever you need to do to be able to get that phrase happening is going to be the thing that you do, right? It is a little bit tricky to get it as tight as Joe gets it, but that's why Joe Satriani is Joe Satriani and I'm not. But these little things are the things where, you know, I don't feel like I've nailed it yet, but I must have spent, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour just going. Still sloppy. It's getting better already after just this little amount of practice, because I haven't been doing a whole heap of full practice of this track today at full speed. Again, with these sort of things, you know, I have to warm up into it as well. Being able to get your fingers to do those things takes a lot of practice. To be able to do it at the drop of the hat, just going to take lots of practice. I don't think there's much more of a secret to it than that. So let's take it from the little variation there. Now I've just noticed I'm using my second, third and fourth fingers, which is how I started doing it, but that does feel easier using my first finger there. That's the way I would normally play that chord in any other context with that fingering, but it does feel easier for some reason. I guess it just depends on the context or what's going on. Use the fingering that feels most comfortable for you. One more time that section. Now we got another little sticky part. So it starts more or less the same. So he goes, and he uses first and second fingers there. I find that a little bit, I don't know why, it just doesn't feel comfortable with that finger. That's the fingering Joe uses, or it appears to be the fingering Joe uses from clips I've watched of him playing it. Sometimes I hear that as well. First finger flicking off, and then a little slide there, but I can't decide whether it's definitely there or not. I think just straight on. Now this little run is the diminished run. 6th fret, 5th string with a hammer on, little finger on the 9th fret. Same thing, up one string and 1 fret, so 7th fret, 10th fret. Then first finger goes up to the 8th fret on the 3rd string and slides down. Pick, hammer, slide. The tricky part of that is getting the rhythm of it right. Yeah, the beat is falling there with a little finger hammer on. Now, I've got to admit, I learned it different to that. When I was first doing it by ear, I was going... doing a little slide, not a slide, a sweep. Going 9th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, then the 8th, 7th. And not playing that note at all. I thought it was... So I thought there was a flick off here. And, I mean, if you were playing that, it goes by so quick that I'm not sure anyone would really notice it if you chose to do it that way. Partly because I wanted to do it the same as Satch, and partly because I knew I was doing this lesson. I have been practicing up, which is very clearly what Satriani's doing at every video I've seen him playing that lick. It's been in that position. Then we hit the thick E string. Really tasty little thing. It's a very common blues move. This actually, this would be a E6 chord. That would be an E9 chord. E6, E9. So it's a real smooth move. I think it's a low E again. Okay, let's go through that whole section. A whole bunch of whammy bar stuff, which I'm obviously not doing with a hard tail guitar. If I'm jamming along with it, I usually swap those whammy fantastics with doing a little bit of the rapid string picking and then moving the... just, sliding the finger back to get a bunch of those little harmonics there. It's obviously not the same, but it kind of works okay. It's a similar sort of a vibe there. And that's the intro, right? Let me play it through another couple of times, real nice and slow, and see if I can notice anything else that might be worth pointing out. I guess really the things at this point is trying to get the points where you're doing the palm mute, particularly in that early part. There's definitely where you want to get the palm mute in there. And a little bit of pinch harmonics. It's just so much fun to play that. Like I said, it goes through if you want to play along with the rest of it, we should thank Joe as well for releasing the backing track. That is so cool to be able to jam along with the actual backing track that he used on the original record. You can get it as part of the deluxe edition of the Surfing with the Aliens. So if you haven't got that, you definitely want to go and check that out, download it. Good idea again is to take that backing track, buy it as an MP3 rather than trying to stream it, stick it into software. I use the software called Transcribe, ! And then I just practice along at like 70% till I feel a bit comfortable, then 75, then 80, 85, and eventually trying to work it up to speed. It's a really good way of doing it. And the fact that you're playing along with the record is just like, it feels awesome. I've started work on learning the solo after this section that I've showed you and that two-handed tapping part. But to be honest, the most fun that I've had is just jamming along with the backing track. So it is literally A, D, like D7 and F sharp minor. For the A chord, it is minor pentatonic, minor blues. You can use the Dorian mode as well. So the G major is the parent major scale there for the A Dorian. On the D7, definitely it's D Mixolydian kind of feeling. Minor pentatonic doesn't kind of work so good. If you're working on your 3-note per string legato playing, a la Joe Satriani, that's a great point to start working with that G major scale over the D7, getting that D7, the D Mixolydian sound cooking. On the F sharp minor, it seems like there's a few different approaches that can work. You can try and go all Phrygian on it, which makes it sound a little bit weird, thinking in terms of like a D major scale thing. That for me sounds kind of pretty hip, a little bit gnarly, outside of the box a bit. If you want to keep it straighter, just stick to the F sharp minor pentatonic scale and back to the A. You should hear pretty clearly where the chords are changing and where you'd need to. Obviously it goes then into that tapping part, which is something that would be a set piece that you'd have to learn. I'm going to have a go at learning that, and I may well do a lesson on that part if there's enough call for it as well. I might just learn it for myself, and then it goes back into the riff and you're out. It's definitely, if I end up getting a band together this year, which I want to do just for a recreational fun thing, this is definitely one of the tracks I want to do because it is just loads and loads of fun to play along. I'm sure you're going to love it as well. I had so much fun doing this. This is not the regular bag because it's, Joe Satriani is stuff that I was working on for my own guitar chops a long time ago in my teens, late teens. But I'm so enjoying it, and I've already started revising a couple of the other tunes I used to be able to kind of muddle my way through. Always With You, Always With Me is a nice one, relatively simple, but some really tasty things to have a go at. Surfing with the Alien is obviously the all-time classic off this record. There's so many of his songs that have got like really, really cool things to learn, cool techniques. Midnight, Day at the Beach, those two-handed tapping things. That's definitely one I should revise because I used to be able to play that all right. So let me know if you're up for doing this, because what I don't want to do is put loads of effort into learning these songs to the point where I feel confident enough to teach them if no one's really up for learning it. So let me know in the comments what of his songs, Satriani songs, you'd be into, and whether you're actually going to learn it, or whether you just enjoy going like, wow, that's really hard, because that stuff sometimes is like that. It's kind of fun to watch, but not sure I want to do it. Like me watching snooker. I definitely, I've attempted to play snooker and I've gone, yeah, I'm never going to be really good at snooker, but I still love watching it. Love to have Ronnie O'Sullivan skills, but that's like a whole lifetime. Anyway, I digress. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, that you enjoy playing this song, and I'll see you for plenty more lessons very soon. Oh, and don't forget that you can get the tab for this, my transcription of the tab, over at JustinGuitar tabs. It's a paid subscription, of course, because we have to pay the rights holders. It's all legal and all of that sort of stuff. So go and check that out if you want to get a tab as well. I'll see you for plenty more lessons very soon. You'll take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.